What's going on? So, I have been avoiding this project for a little while. Uh, on the Cadillac, it only came with one of the original radiator top mount brackets. And I was looking online, and I'm like, oh, I'll just buy another one. Well, they're expensive, way out of budget. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just bend me up some, make a match. But you kind of got to use a thicker material, or else it will just basically it'll just unbend, or it's not strong enough to hold it. So this is what we came up with. All right, so the original factory bracket mounted here and then bolted in to the bolt on the thing. Because I don't have a brake, I can't bend that metal and know that it's going to be perfect for two of the same bracket. And also on the radiator, the one side where it mounts is where the fill cap is now, and it's a little slanted. I'll show you that after I get back out there. I come back in the shop. So what I did was I cut, this is just scrap steel that I had laying around, I believe it's 1/8 inch. I cut 1.5 inches by 9.5. All I did was basically measure here, all the bends, added a couple inches. That way, if it was a little over, everything would have worked out. Now, for everybody that heard me say, I don't have a brake, obviously, you can't just put this in a vise and bend it. There's kind of no way that you would be able to control exactly where it bent, or your corners wouldn't be tight. They'd be real loose, and one way or the other, there'd be no way to get two of them to match. So I've decided I'm going to do only one, but I'm going to use, we have a press, the Jack Harbor Freight press for pressing bearings or anything like that, and a piece of angle iron. And I'm just going to bend the piece into the angle iron, and we're going to see how it works out. Alright, so I have the old piece and the piece that's going to become the new bracket. You can use a tape measure. I have a ruler, so that's what I'm going to use. So this side of the bracket, in my opinion, goes down over the radiator a little far, but we can adjust that after the fact. So measuring from the inside of the radius down to the end is 2 inches. So the first bend, doesn't matter which direction. Force of habit, I always put everything at 1 inch to start. So 1 plus your 2 inches, 3 inches. Mark it there. Same on this side. Draw your straight line across there. And then meet me at the bender. Alright, so we have the line, and we have our 2 pieces of angle iron. Our press come with these blocks that's got a V. So put one of the angles in there, kind of get it centered in. Take your other V, put your piece of metal in the middle of it, and And this is kind of where you got to be a magician. So once you get your metal in, you can hold just the top channel. Kind of get it centered up the best you think you can. So it's a little hard to see, but the black line is at the point of the top channel. And you'll get to a point where it kind of stops. All right, so we got the first bend. I will say it turned out good. I will say that it's not a perfect 90 though. It is a little open. For our application, not going to make that big of a deal. But if you need a perfect bend, then you may need to put it in, but at least you have your bend marked. If you look on the inside, kind of hard to see, but the black line that I had marked at my 2 inches is right in the middle of the bend. So, first bend. So we got this one covered. So now we need to go down and in. So, measuring that from the inside of the bend to the inside of the bend is 3 inches. Off camera, I measured the radiator plus what we're using for the rubber isolators, and I came up with 2 3/4 because the rubber that we're using isn't the factory rubber. So we put this at 2 3/4. And you do this one the same way. Be back in a second. All right, so got it bent. Part near where looks like the old one. But now we're bending it back. So we're gonna be bending on this side. So we can't just measure from the inside to the outside or to the inside of the inside because the inside goes the opposite way. So on this one, I'm going to measure as if the metal was a straight line out down to the inside of that one. You get 1 1/4 inches. Same thing here. Hold the ruler at basically a straight line. Mark it at 1.25 inches. Mark this one at 1.25 inches. Straight line. And now, when we stick it in, we're going to stick it where the handle portion is towards us. We're going to line up that V, the top angle iron, with that line. And when we bend, it'll bend up. And hopefully, it will match what we have here. Only a little skinnier to fit the radiator and the rubber configuration that we're using. So, I'll be right back. Alright, so we're back. So this is what the finished product looks like. And alright, so I still have to cut the tail off where it needs to go. But this is whoop. So the plan is for it to go over the radiator and in this little hole right here. So obviously I gotta cut it off. And then I'm gonna drill a hole in the middle. That way I don't have to try to make two of these that match. Because like I was talking about earlier, this one has to go under the overflow tube. And it's kind of at an angle, so just make it more complicated. So we just decided to go with one in the middle, like this. And where's one of them rubbers at? Yeah. And this is the thickness of the rubbers that we're going to be using. And if you can see, look pretty good. Should bolt down good. Everything will be on the up and up. Alright, so we have the bracket bent. I painted it up. Little flat black action. Probably could have done better. There's probably better ways to do this, but this is the way we're doing it. And then I had bought rubber strips that we used for the fuel tank straps, because anybody that's redone a 60s Cadillac knows that you can't buy any of that stuff. So this is what we used. It's just 1/8 inch thick. So I'm going to cut it down basically a little skinnier than what we have there. Use a razor blade. Try not to cut the moving blanket that's underneath the stuff. And then peel the rubber. Could have been a little closer to center, but it's not. But that's okay. Alright, let's go put it on the car. What's going on, everybody? Just wanted to hop on here to end this video off. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for coming along, and looking forward to mixing in a little bit more content. Life is busy at this time of year. Getting ready for the Hangout 2026, January 3rd, Don Garlett's Museum of Drag Racing. Pre-registration ends December 7th at midnight. So make sure you go get pre-registered. If you're like me and you don't like to pre-register for stuff, day of, $25, come hang out. Don Garlett's is supposed to be on the premises. All year's welcome. Any more information on that, hotrodhangout.com or Facebook, The Hangout 2026. All right, guys. Till next time, get out and drive your shit. Later.